Amazon says it will cut about 14,000 corporate employees, and the Reuters news agency reports that that number could affect as many as 30,000 workers. Is the world witnessing the early stages of an AI-driven labor reset? Well, let's put that to our panel. There's much to talk about. Dan Yer is the co-founder and CEO of CollegeNode. Winston Ma focuses on the AI digital economy as an adjunct professor at New York University Law School. Also with us is Amr Awadallah. He's the founder and CEO of Vectara, a generative AI company. And Maribel Lopez heads Lopez Research, where she tracks trends on such topics as artificial intelligence, cloud computing, AI security and ethics. Thanks everyone for being with us. Maribel Lopez, let me start with you. Let's start with that plan announced by Amazon to cut 14,000 workers. And as I pointed out, the Reuters news agency is reporting that that number could be as high as 30,000 workers. There is a growing debate about how the introduction of AI technologies would impact the labor market. In fact, Goldman Sachs says that worldwide up to 300 million people could be affected. Women could be especially hard hit as these new technologies are introduced. How do you see it?
There actually absolutely is a problem, but how you frame it is really interesting. What we're seeing happening right now is technology companies are framing it as 30 to 40% increase in productivity. So employees are expected to actually step up to that 30, 40%. But what that really means is that there's a third of the people that you probably don't need. Does that mean you will lay off the people you have? Perhaps not, but what it means for the hiring industry is we don't hire additional people. We've already seen that happen. What it means is that in certain roles where they can be eliminated, they will be eliminated. And it will also actually be harder for the people that are still on staff to keep up with these productivity expectations. From the perspective of women at home, we're seeing that particularly those that want to have remote work are being very hard hit by this as well.
Winston Ma, that number that Maribel told us about a moment ago, nearly 40% of jobs are exposed. That's according to an IMF forecast as well. How does the world adapt to this? I mean, have we been here before when new technologies are introduced? I was thinking of something like the Industrial Revolution. Are these situations very similar?
Yes and no. Yes, because we have experienced many cycles of technology revolution, and every time there is a new technology and productivity gain, essentially there will be a labor reset. There will be a cut of positions in particular areas that's directly impacted by the technology, and the consequence is to have those people get reskilled and move into other areas, and then it will reach a new balance. But the new thing here relating to AI is that it relates to knowledge. It relates to a new way of organizing information and learning new knowledge, and that goes into the core of knowledge worker, which is the majority of today's economy. So the new challenge here is that it's not only about productivity of repetitive job, it's also about rethinking about how people would acquire knowledge going forward, and how can they be relevant when machines can learn knowledge even faster and more efficiently.
And Winston, do you think any thought has been given to how this will change people's lifestyles? I mean, people will be losing jobs. It's not clear yet whether the economies will be big enough to absorb those people into other activities. But what happens when you have thousands of people being laid off because of the introduction of AI?
It's going to be very challenging. Actually, a good example would be autonomous robotics and like driverless taxi. If you think about last decade, before COVID, right, the mobile internet has changed the economy fundamentally, and many people have lost their regular jobs and become taxi drivers or Uber drivers, right? The mobile internet enabled apps, that have reorganized the taxi business. And now we're dealing with another wave of impact from tech development, i.e., the AI and the automation, right? Now, when you look at this situation, essentially, that particular group has been hit twice already. First by the mobile internet and now the AI, right? So this poses very important question, like how can normal people stay relevant in today's economy, where the technologies comes not in one hit, but in multiple waves.
Amr Awadallah, yes, there is a labor reset when new technologies are introduced. I mentioned the Industrial Revolution. That tells us a little bit. But the Industrial Revolution automated physical labor. Here in AI, as Winston Ma pointed out a moment ago, we are automating tasks that were once considered the unique space of human beings, things like learning, thought, and complex problem solving. In fact, Goldman Sachs says that there will also be, we shouldn't look just on the negative side of things, there will also be jobs created by this new technology. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, could AI create jobs, new jobs?
AI will create new jobs. There's no doubt in that. But the bigger question is, will AI create enough new jobs to make up for the lost jobs? And that's where there's a big question mark, right? And we're seeing that in some of the industries that are being impacted first by this. And very ironically, one of the very first industry being impacted is software developers, because AI now is getting very good at doing entry-level coding at a speed and an accuracy sometimes rivaling the average human by a big margin. And if you look at the hiring, for example, by the Mag 7, meaning the big companies like Google, Microsoft, Apple, and so on, for software developers, it has been down by almost 50% over the last couple of years because of the AI helping a lot of the engineers be a lot more productive. So that's kind of a signal, an early signal for one of the first industries being impacted. We're seeing the same thing happen in call centers, like answering customer support calls is being automated by AI left and right now across organizations. So there is no question, I believe in my mind, that there will be a lot more jobs lost than jobs gained. And it's not just me saying that. Some of the biggest AI minds in the world, like Eric Schmidt, like Elon Musk, like Sam Altman of OpenAI, they are all warning about this. And Daria Amodi, the CEO for Anthropic, the maker of Claude, they're saying, yeah, we expect a big shift in the job market to be taking place, and governments need to prepare for that. And the answer of having universal basic income might be required to be able to mitigate what will happen because of this shift.
Okay, Dan, let's talk about education, training, retraining. What happens to people coming out of universities with computer science degrees? That's a hard degree, that's an expensive degree. Are they short of a job? I mean, you're very familiar with this. You're also a venture capitalist and technology specialist. I mean, what can you tell us about the skills that AI technology will require? I mean, and on the other hand, with much of the workforce that we're talking about who already have jobs right now, will have to be retrained. I mean, is there the education and training infrastructure for that already in place?
Well, we are going to see a total rewrite of the entire higher education industry in the next 5 years, right? Because right now, the higher education industry is not teaching the skill that's necessary for this new AI economy. Matter of fact, a lot of universities are still penalizing students for using ChatGPT. They call it cheating, whereas universities are supposed to encourage their students as much as possible to embrace AI because that's what the employers want. So if you're a recent grad right now or you're still in school, I would recommend you to learn as much about artificial intelligence as you can. Learn prompt engineering, learn coding for artificial intelligence. Just get yourself familiar with how to use AI to boost productivity, because that is where the jobs are, and that's what employer today requires. So unfortunately, a lot of these are not being taught right now in the university, and the student might have to teach themselves. those skills. I see in schools such as MIT and Johns Hopkins are actively teaching this, but the vast majority of schools are still avoiding AI and treating it as if it's something that will just go away, which it won't. So I think a lot of changes are coming in the education industry.
Dan, you make the point that colleges and universities are resisting this. They are not encouraging their students to use things like ChatGPT, whereas, as you point out, they should be using those things. But what about the sort of older goals of education, like teaching students to be critical thinkers? I mean, is that going to suffer?
That is going to suffer, because if you look at students, overwhelmingly, they're going to college and grad school so that they can earn more money, right? I mean, it is great that you can have critical thinking skill, you can have, learn arts, but overwhelmingly, the biggest goal is increase income. And right now, the universities are not serving their students this goal. The economy requires something that's totally different compared to 30 years ago, but higher education is still teaching the same thing they did 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. So higher education is very resistant to change. And I think right now the barbarians at the gate, if they do not change, a lot of them will simply go under, because you're already seeing American students abandoning higher education in large numbers, because it's simply, the investment is not worth the outcome. And you're going to see this trend accelerating in the next 2 to 3 years, and many of the schools will simply just close.
Maribel, we are getting here into the realm of the social impact of artificial intelligence. I mean, is there a risk that as machines take over jobs, that this could cause significant social challenges when you have millions of people who suddenly become unemployed? I mean, could this really destroy the fabric of the societies as they exist right now? Maribel, did you hear me?
I mean, I would say we've seen other instances in society where we looked at, for example, Spain, that at one point had 25% unemployment rate, and there was definite civil unrest that happens there. And there will be, humans need to be productive. So we do have to bridge this gap at some point in time. And universal income is not enough to do that. We need to be able to find ways for individuals to be productive in the new society. Back on the education discussion we were just having, I think this is actually very critical, because there's two issues with education right now. One is they aren't teaching the skills, as was noted. The second is they actually aren't teaching critical thinking, and critical thinking is one of the things that's going to be required for somebody to be successful moving forward, because AI can give you an answer to a problem. Is it the correct answer? Sometimes it is now, sometimes it is not. If you look at the safety and security metrics from folks like OpenAI, depending on whether or not you've grounded that data as an enterprise, if you just go out into ChatGPT, the hallucination rates are still quite high. We will fix that, but we also need critical thinking and people that understand how to push at the edges to make sure that they're getting the answers so that they can be productive, but also be accurate at the same time.
So, Maribel, as you rightly point out, there is this gap that needs to be bridged. I mean, do you see any evidence that this is on the agenda, it's on the radar of governments around the world?
So from what we're seeing right now, we just have a lot of posturing around AI policy, and a lot of it is actually just related to the ethics of whether or not it is safe for children, or if it's creating pornography, or if it is discriminatory. And that is not the only challenge that we have to address right now. And I think there's been this real push-pull in governments to say, we don't want to tamper innovation. We want that innovation. We want to take the competitive advantage of that innovation. But at the same time, we're not preparing for the impact of that innovation. For example, if you are unemployed, how do you get retrained at that point? If you are an employer, should the employers actively start retraining their individuals? There seems to be this assumption that we're just going to walk out and we're going to find all this readily baked AI talent to bring into our organizations to make this happen. It doesn't exist, which is what we were just talking about. And there always is like how much government intervention is too much, but it's not just even the intervention, it's that we're not even discussing the problem.
Winston Ma, talking about government intervention, as Maribel points out, there is this reluctance to interfere with innovation, with technology, but AI is shaping the workplace faster than political leaders can adapt to that. I mean, are there any efforts internationally, any serious efforts at an international level, a multilateral level, to regulate AI, to control these mechanisms?
Yes, as a law professor, I would say, these days, multinational treaties are hard to get enforced, right? Just look at the WTO and the current tariff war. But at the same time, we're seeing efforts to come up with global governance standards and more disclosure and more openness of the AI models, right? So, for example, China has started this effort to develop AI governance affiliate association, let's say. This started a few months ago, announced at the AI summit in Shanghai. And by the same token, the US, in connection with its AI action plan, announced similarly during the summer, also called for more global standards and global dialogue on AI standards. And of course, the US AI work plan, action plan, is more about sending out the US thinking about the AI models to the world, because most of the AI models are coming from the US market, right? But at the same time, China's side market shows up with free open source models, which is also a great driver to encourage more openness of AI models globally. So going forward, a lot of the governance dialogue, right, probably will come out from these multinational semi-official association, and hopefully there will be some framework come out from these multinational conversations to provide some guidance for the AI development going forward.
Amr Awadallah, I think it was you who mentioned call centers a moment ago and what takes place there. I mean, the studies have shown that productivity increases in call centers when humans are replaced by chatbots. Let's listen to Samir Chowdhury, who is the head of the Media Ant startup.
Now we are set to launch a completely AI-based, sounds like complete like human. When we run it through people, they are not able to differentiate whether it's a machine or a person. And this bot is able to answer your questions, capture your requirement, and based on what you want, whether you want a plan on your mail, WhatsApp, or you want a call back, it sets it up.
So, Amr, this could put a lot of call center workers out of business, but India's also done some studies where they show that AI will boost GDP in that country and also generate millions of jobs in sectors like healthcare, manufacturing, as well as agriculture. I mean, how transformative will this new technology be?
I mean, there is no question that the technology will improve GDP. So GDP going up, meaning that a country making more revenues because of AI helping the country be more productive, it can happen at the same time that people are losing jobs, right? And if you look at the big layoffs happening at Amazon and Salesforce and Microsoft and so on, believe it or not, a big part of it is not directly because of the efficiencies from AI, is because they need to be spending more money from a capital expenditure point of view on building these massive data centers with GPUs in them versus hiring people. So in some ways it's still AI, but it's AI because they need to be building the AI so they can get the efficiency in the future. But the key point is GDP can absolutely go up while jobs are going down. Like, these are independent things, especially now in this new day and age where work is being done by the machines versus being done by the humans. I wanted to make a quick comment to agree also with Dan earlier about universities needing to really wake up and change the way that they do education versus penalizing students for using AI to do their homeworks. Is we need to evolve our homework. It should all be about critical thinking, like you were saying, Anand. Like, the most important skill in the future is going to be that. Are we able to pose the right questions, the right problems to start with, to the AI so we can get the answers? And then can we critique the answers to make sure these were the right answers? In many ways, that's going to be our job. So if you look at developers and programmers right now, at schools, we should teach them the fundamentals very quickly, just like we teach preschool students how to use a calculator, how to do add numbers, but we don't give them the calculator yet. So we teach them the fundamentals. Yeah. But very quickly, we shift them from the lower level problems, the fundamentals, to solving much more higher complicated problems so that they become senior developers, because we need senior developers. We don't need junior developers anymore. The AI can do that. So universities need to change their education to be like that. And that will happen across many other disciplines, where we now are more focused on the ability of the human not to do the job, but the ability of the human to guide the AI while it's doing the job. That's going to be a lot more important skill in the future.
Daniel, let's talk about something that we don't hear about very often, and that is the application of AI in agriculture, on farming. I mean, this is important. Farmers produce the food that we consume. AI powers autonomous tractors, we see that right now, and drones do a lot of the monitoring work and a variety of other tasks. Let's listen to Danny Bernstein. He is an agriculture tech and labor analyst. This is what he had to say.
There's an emerging field around physical AI, or like AI for the real world, and in many ways agriculture is the ultimate test of those challenges. But at the same time, it's really the ultimate opportunity, because there's nothing more critical and necessary than feeding a global population. So you drive through California every single day and you'll see people working alongside robotics, people working alongside automation, and we think that's going to become more and more and more of the future of basically advanced technology, increasingly skilled farm labor, increasingly sophisticated farm labor working alongside robotics.
So Daniel, AI can also do a lot of other things. It can predict weather more accurately. It can also monitor pest outbreaks on farms as well. So is AI going to be the future of farming?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the produce in your supermarket, a good chunk of the produce price is human labor. AI is not just going to predict, weather and pests. AI is going to be able to control every single sector of the farming process, right? We're going to have bipedal robots harvesting blueberries and raspberries. We are going to have robots driving tractors, or we even will have drones using laser to zap pests, which is happening right now already. So what you're going to see is that worldwide, a lot of the farmers, if they own the land and they could afford these bots, you will see a huge productivity gain, and the cost of food is going to come down. Whereas if you're just a free farmhand, you'll be out of job in 5 years. So it's going to be a sea change, and I think people have no idea what's coming yet, and that's the scary part.
Winston Ma, there's been a lot of studies that have been done on the impact that AI could have on a government's ability to raise money, to levy taxes, raise revenue and things like that. If jobs are lost, aren't taxes lost at the same time?
I guess the quick answer is yes, but it's more profound than that, because there's always argument that there will be more new pockets of productivities will come out. So overall, there will be a bigger pie. That's the positive thinking about AI. But I think that in the short term, actually, it's more negative if you look at the overall mix of job loss, because we talk about the bias risk of AI models, but at the same time, the AI's impact on the job market is also biased in the sense that the most junior jobs are hard to be replaced, and the top jobs are still growing with the help of AI. But the big majority of the middle level jobs are the most hit by AI, because these are the jobs that are good enough. With not, that relates to knowledge workers that are good enough at their job, yeah, but not the best, right? And the majority of this middle level will be hit the most, yeah, by the wider spread of AI applications.
Yeah, Maribel, we're talking a lot about the impact that AI is going to have in the future, but where are you seeing the biggest impact that AI is having right now on the economy?
We're seeing tremendous, you mentioned call center, we're seeing a tremendous effort in customer experience in terms of improving that customer experience, but also in some ways up-leveling a lot of those contact center reps. That has a 35% turnover. So even with AI impacting jobs, I think a lot of organizations are excited about being able to still be able to deliver a higher level of customer service. We're seeing tremendous impact in coding. We're very optimistic about where it's going in healthcare. We're starting to see the opportunity to have that human machine to do more diagnostics for more people and get more people through the system. We definitely have healthcare shortages right now, so we're really looking forward to that. And supply chain optimization is one that a lot of organizations are working very hard on to make sure that we can get the right things in the right place at the right time. So, with all the doom and gloom we've talked about, there is a lot of opportunity to improve what we have going on at this moment and make it more efficient and make it better for everybody and get more food into people's hands and get more people served in the right way they need to be served.
Amr Awadallah, very quickly, how great is the risk that AI is also going to be used by criminals? I mean, we're seeing that where criminals are creating these fake websites, deep fake videos and things like that.
Oh, it's 100%. I mean, criminals will absolutely, as has been proven in history over and over again, whenever new technology comes out, the good guys use it for good, and the bad guys will try to use it for bad. So that is happening already with the deep fakes, as we can see happening left and right. Many banks are upgrading now their voice detection system to detect if this is a cloned voices versus a real voice, and it's working for now, but we'll need to have more regulations around that, just like we do regulations around any other technology being used for good or bad.
Okay, and that is where we have to leave it. Thanks to all of you for being with us. That's it for this edition of The Heat. I'm Anand Naidu in Washington.